Hey everybody, Mark Vogt working on my Z3 project. This is going to be a long video, but you're watching it right from the beginning in one day. First time ever, I'm going to replace the top on a 1998 BMW Z3 in nice warm weather on a nice day outside with like regular guy materials available. Come and watch the whole video. Okay, so here's the start of the video, the 1998 BMW Z3 convertible top replacement. Have you ever done it before? No. Am I stupid? No. I'm going to be doing it in my driveway on a nice sunny day. I'm taking account for possible rain with a canopy. Next thing I'm going to be doing is laying out all of my tools. If you've got folding tables, that's the first thing I'm going to do is lay them all the way around so I've got plenty of space to work. Then I'm going to put blankets down on those tables. Why? Because you're going to start laying parts out. And you want to lay those parts out in exactly the orientation they came out so they go back in that way. You can use buckets and all kinds of other stuff. In the end, you're going to be struggling. Way better to lay things out. That's the Chuck Vogt way. That's the way my dad did it when he rebuilt motors in the garage. That's the way Mark Vogt is doing it 50 years later. Let's get started. Table number one of what I hope are going to be 3 and at least 4. That, guys, that's a bed sheet. Don't buy tools you're only going to use once. Don't go buy a bunch of moving blankets or anything like this unless you're planning on doing a whole lot of work in the future and it's an investment. But if it's just a one-time thing, make do. Use blankets. Better use sheets. Your wife can't yell at you if you use sheets because they go in the laundry easy, they wash up easy. You're going to be laying your top down on here. I want to try to lay the brand new top down with the window, the flexible vinyl window with no big bends in it, no corners, no nothing. I'm not trying to stress it out. Watch me set it down. Try to keep that vinyl nice and flat. Eventually when it goes in the car, it's going to get folded this way. You can't do much about that, but you can keep it from bending this way, folding, making corners, stuff like that. I just want to leave it out on the sun. Today it's supposed to get up into the mid 70s. It's late September in northeastern Illinois. That is as good as it gets. You want that top warm because then it's actually a little bit pliable. The wrinkles might come out. It will stretch a little easier, be easier to put on and glue on, etc. So keep that in mind. Here's a set of replacement straps. Do your homework, guys. I'm watching other people's video. MAINE Jason and a few other guys. I watched what you said. You accidentally, I think you cut through one of these and then you thought it was tied to the top and then you realized it was actually connected to the metal bows that go up and over the car. Do your homework, watch other people's videos, stand on the shoulders of the giants, make your own video to see if it supplements anything that got overlooked because everybody overlooks something. My hope with this video today is that I end up supplementing those guys that have done such a fantastic job, especially MAINE Jason. He's done a fantastic job. I'm just trying to say, let's see what we can do with mere mortal tools, although he did a pretty good job. And it was replacing these straps, so let me lay these out. Looks like there's one side and then the other. They're not identical. One goes on one side, one goes on the other. I'll take a shot that that's the left side, the driver's side. That's the passenger side. These straps, they look symmetrical, so I'll just lay one out. It's going to help me understand as I pull the top off. It's going to help me understand what needs to be done. What I'm going to do is not put stuff. There's not going to be any tables on the left side and right side really. There's going to be one more table right alongside this. Old top, new top, they're in the same position, and I'm going to lay the parts out front to back so that it's really easy to try to follow what came out, and then I just have to work backwards with the new top to put everything back in. Let me go finish setting up. Okay, what do we got so far? We got the new top going in closer to the car, so it's easier to work with. This top, this is the table that the old top's going to be put on, with all the stuff in the back going here, and I'll add another table if I need to, but I'm going this way. On this side, all the stuff that came off the front, like the front, what do they call it, the header edge and stuff like that, is going to go right here. I still have a blanket down. It's not to protect what I'm pulling out. It's so the parts don't roll off the table. It's so that they're easy to spot. It's dark on one side, light on the other. I folded it so the light side is up. Why? All the parts that are coming out are black. I want them to stand out. I want them to not roll. I need to be able to find them. Let's continue. All right, let's just see where we got so far. We've got my top laying out in the sun, warming up, stretching out, getting supple. We've got my replacement straps. We've got a table that's going to be where I put my old top. Let's go look at the tool set. Again, guys, stand on the shoulders of the great ones. There are people that have been here before, including MAINE Jason. He laid his tools out, so I'm going to lay my tools out. We got tape on the top, and I'm going to tape my car before I start cutting stuff out of it. I got the impression that everybody put tape on, but they put the tape on only after they had their oh shit moment and said, I think I scratched it. Maybe I should have taped it. I'm taping first. So I got a bunch of duct tape out, just old rows left over. I got parts for prying stuff off. I've got a power screw gun and a whole bunch of extra bits. I've got tools for cutting. I've got my rivet gun. I've got my 10mm deep socket that they told me to get, and I listened. I've got my Torx wrenches. I've got various screwdrivers. Should be everything that I need. Expect you're going to forget something, guys. Always have the car gassed up, a little bit of money in your pocket for what ifs, and just expect that you're going to be making 2, 3, maybe 4 trips to the local hardware stores, because that's what happens. That's always what happens. Prepare for a little bit of weather. We got blue sky up here. I still end up with 4 little $4 8x10 tarps. Why? To cover the tools up and to cover both of those tables up. That's why, in case it does start to rain. Just be ready for contingencies. Be ready to move if you need. I've got garbage cans here for waste. I've got other small garbage cans for parts. And I'm about as ready to go as I can be. Step number 1 is coming up. In case anybody's curious, I lost my window even when I bought this car a few weeks ago. It literally crumbled. It disintegrated right before my eyes. I put this together with a piece of regular clear plastic, like a drop cloth, only a little bit thicker. Cut it to be slightly oversized, and I'll explain why. Use Gorilla Tape to tape it first onto a plastic table and then transfer it over here. And it's been sitting on here for probably a month, guys, doing a really good job. Now, the reason you make this extra big is this. When you come in here and close the door, watch what happens. See that bubble? If you make it too form-fitting, too tight, when you close the doors and there's that sudden compression of air that's on the inside, you're going to end up popping that tape right off. By making this a little bit loose like this tape has managed to stay on through rain, cold, repeatedly for literally a month now. Just something else to think about. So, step number 1, we're going to run some tape all along this edge. I don't want to go over this edge because you see this rubber gasket, it's got to come out. But I'm going to lay down some tape right away, and then we're going to start taking the front header rail off. Here goes. Little tip from Mark. Work in 1-foot strips, guys. Don't press it all the way down on the paint, because when you lift it up, it might actually take old paint right off, old clear coat right off. Just barely lay it on there. All it's got to do is protect things from getting hit down onto it. You don't have to kill yourself trying to get inside the cracks. You're not painting this thing. You're just protecting the metal. And then work your way all the way around. So far, so good. Coming up. All right, 1 minute later, I'm already down around this side, and I'm as curious as everybody else. I'm thinking, hey, why did everybody actually start taping everything? Why did they do this? And I don't think it's because of the metal parts here, guys. It's not these parts. It's not the bands. It's not the mechanism. The problem that we're trying to stay away from is that when you pull this whole back strap off, it is filled with literally several hundred staples. And if you accidentally lay the whole top down on your paint job with a bunch of little staples, guess what? Whole bunch of scratches. That's what we're trying to avoid. Let's continue. Okay, after 2 minutes of taping, I've got that little band. So how is that going to protect me from a bunch of staples going in? Simple. I'm going to go lay another band of tape on one of my 8-foot tarps, and I'm going to stretch the tarp around here and tape it down. Then I've got the tarp covering the whole back half of the vehicle so that if I touch it with a staple, it ought to be pretty well protected. Let's go stretch one of these 8-foot tarps out, lay a piece of tape along the edge of it, and then just very quickly tape along the top of that blue. Be right back. Change of plans. I looked in the garage and actually found an old blanket left over from the girls when they were growing up, and instead I'm taping that down because I want to conserve my tarps in case it rains. Those are supposed to cover things up, so I'm going to not use that. And all you do, guys, is take your blanket, put half of it on this side, half of it on this side, start in the middle so you know you don't run out on one end, and just start laying out a little piece like this, just this far, tear out a piece of tape, tape it down, work on the next one all the way around, and you'll see that I've already done this side, and that's close enough. I'm not going to be able to do a perfect job because the whole idea here is to use the stuff that I have. You're trying to save money. It's a $1,900 job, including the top, to have somebody professionally do it. I bought the top for $182. I bought the straps for another $140. So I'm already out $300 right there. I'm not trying to spend another $1,500 in parts in order to do it right. I won't save any money. I won't save any time either. So use what you got, knowing that you're going to be able to throw it away or pack it up and it serves another purpose. Let's continue. Okay, here we are so far. Remember, we're just trying to cover the back up, so if I take this great big band out that's filled with old rusty staples and accidentally lay it on here for even the briefest of moments, I don't scratch anything. That's all. You're not trying to completely cover it, nothing. So this is all that it looks like. It went on easy. Hopefully it's going to come off just as easy, but it's going to serve its purpose. All right, next up. I actually think I'm delaying. I'm delaying the real thing, which is this has to come up and we have to start taking those top header screws off. And I'm actually kind of dilly-dallying. Like the minute you do that, guys, and you peel this whole front back, the minute you peel that top off, you're committed. There is no going backwards. You have to finish the job. And I'm kind of hesitant, like everybody else is. Here goes. Okay, next thing we got to do is raise that top up halfway so that the header rail is exposed and we can start taking those screws off. Here goes. I'm 6'1". It's a little hard to get into this Z3. I have to kind of wear it. Yeah. First, see if it starts. Roll the windows down for the day. Pop the 2 levers. Manually push up on the middle here to release it a little bit, to free it up. And then I got to move it backwards just a little bit by motor. That's it. What happened to me, I don't know if it happened to you guys, but after a few minutes this top just fell backwards on its own. I'm going to be watching out for that. Kind of watching to see what happens. Like this thing won't stay up on its own. It's going to fall backwards. And that's the last thing I need right in the middle of taking screws out. So I'm going to try to put some kind of a pillow or something back here to prevent it from falling backwards. I'll be right back. Come on, you guys got to see this. I'm going to go around to the back. That's the part I have to try to fill in right there. So when it starts falling backwards, it gets stopped. And I'm just going to take 2 pillows. That ought to do the trick. But if it starts to fall backwards, it's going to get trapped. Hope my wife doesn't watch this video. She's going to be so mad at me. All right, let's get started. Taking off all of those screws right here. This one, this one. They look like they're in pretty good shape. I'm going to take my little white marker and I'm going to mark little dots right here. Tiny little white ones that maybe I can wipe off later. These are all pretty uniform screws. I'm not going to try to match up and say this is screw number 1, this is screw number 2. I don't see the need. So here goes. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is mark the bottom edge here so this header goes on in the exact same spot. And I'm not going to draw big lines. I'm going to use little dots. Watch. Shake your pen up. I may as well start right in the middle and work my way backwards. Just a little mark. Gotta get some ink in the pen. Okay, here we go. I'm pushing down right in the seam. So part of the mark is on the header rail and part of the mark is on the mechanism, on the bow. Just get the corners, the far ends. That ought to do it. All right, next, it's time to start taking those screws out. We got one. Oh, got to mark one more over here. And way over here. Should let that dry a little bit. It looks like this is the center. This is where the handle is that you grab on. I can see it already starting to sag a little bit. I'm going to count them first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 screws got to come out and go on the blanket. And I'm not going to lay them out. Well, I'll lay them out, but I'm not going to worry about the order because they're very uniform looking screws. All right, we'll start in the middle. That came out super easy, 1/4 inch long. I'm actually going to use the one guy said you should use a magnetic pickup tool in case you lose stuff. I'm going to actually put this inside a magnetic cup right now. If you don't already have one of these magnets, you want to get one of these guys. There's no way you can lose your parts. Super handy. Magnet on the bottom, magnet inside. I'm going to just set this down near the bottom here. That way I don't have to worry about carrying them in my hand. I've also got a magnetic tip so that from the moment I make contact with the screw, it's stuck on. Hang on tight. Drop it in the container. That's 2 out of 10. Three. 4. 5. 5. Time to go over on your side. I think I got to reposition the camera now. It's hard to get good lighting in the morning. The sun's coming from over there, so there's a lot of glare and ultra contrast. That should get the job done. Let's finish getting the remaining 5 screws off. Here's number 6. Click. See how they're nicely collecting here? I don't think this top's ever been replaced. 7. They all look the same. None of them look like they've been touched. Still got black, the same black paint on them. 8. 9. And 10. And I can see the rail coming loose already. I'm going to go get a plastic pry tool to take this off next. I'll be right back. But I've got my 10 screws right here. This door panel removal tool is probably my favorite one for doing stuff like this. Thick enough and tough enough to pry, but no metal parts. And let's see. Yep, it had to come up. Something I want you guys to see. Hopefully you can see this right here, but this was actually tucked underneath this little piece of rubber, and it had to be lifted up. So I want to remember that it came off. This videotape serves a purpose. It's helping you guys, but it's also helping me. This is my memory. Let's go back. Let me make sure I'm set up right. Yeah. Do not bend the rail. Okay, it's off. But that's not the scary part, guys. If I chickened out right now, I could lay this back down, put 10 screws back in, and it's as if I never started. The scary part is coming up. The minute I peel this off, the minute I peel that glue off, I am committed to finishing this project. Here goes. What I'm going to do now is take this top, this header rail, and my screws, and go lay them over on that back table. Watch how I do it. Lay the part down, lay the screws down. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. In fact, just in case it does rain or it gets windy, I'm going to actually take a little piece of masking tape and I'm going to tape each one of those pieces, those 10 screws, right onto that header rail. So in a pinch, let's say worst case scenario, that whole table flew away in a wind, the blanket blew away, that header rail is going to lay on the ground with all 10 pieces taped to it, and I'll be able to pick it up and recover. Watch. I'll use a smaller piece of tape just because I have it. This is worth you guys coming over and seeing. This is just what newbies do to avert disaster. I guess that's what it is. Watch as I do this. I'm going to tear off a little piece of tape, take the screw, drop it into the hole like that, and then tape over the top of it. And then I'm just going to repeat. Put the screw in, tear a piece of tape off, tape over the top of it. So if I were to ever lose this rail, this whole blanket comes off, I still preserve all of these pieces. I'm not going to lose them in the grass, in the driveway, whatever. Let's continue. I guess what I'm really saying, guys, is sometimes you got to set up for possible failure or possible delay, and this is the best way to do it. You could put stuff in buckets, label it that way. Depends on how complex your project is. I can get away with this, so I'm doing it this way. Okay, now I feel really good about that. Time for the scary part. Time to pull that header. Time to tear the glue off of that convertible top. Whew, here goes. Okay, here we go. I gotta tell you guys, I'm nervous. Here I am using the plastic pry tool. Oh, I gotta mark where this cloth is here. Let me get my marker tool. Same plan as before. Put a little touch on the convertible top, even though I'm losing it forever. Put a little part. This time I'm going to draw lines. I want to be able to differentiate the line where the convertible top went from the dot that represents the header. I'd say that looks pretty good. I'm going to keep this in my pocket from now on. I'm still stalling. I know I am. I'm stalling because I'm nervous. You guys tell me in your comments if you had the same thing. All right, I think it's dry enough. Here goes. We're going to start in the middle like before. I'm going to lift up, and I feel underneath here there's a piece of plastic along the very edge of the cloth. And other guys, they just pried and it came off. So I'm going to try doing that too. I want to use my fingers. I want the feel of my fingers so I can almost sense what's happening. And I feel it starting to come over the edge. I feel it starting to come over the edge. You probably don't need to see this, but there's a round bead on the edge of this header rail that I feel it coming around. And that's looking pretty good. It looks like there was some kind of spray-on adhesive put on here in the past. Okay, that's it, guys. We are committed. Now, there's a piece along the side here that needs to come off. I can't get any further with that. It's all the farther it'll go. But now we got to start working our way down the sides. And that means there's some... That means there's this piece of foam that needs to come off. And this is where, you know, your memory starts to fail and you want to go back and watch some videos. But I'm going to take a stab at just pulling it back like they said. I see that there's a track there. If I pull too hard on this, I'm worried that I'm going to tear this really old foam and then I have to go buy new foam. Let me show you what's going on down here. If you look really close under here, you'll see that there's a track, and I want to start pulling that away. Very carefully, you don't want to tear anything here, guys, because I have to recondition all of this rubber anyways with regular old petroleum jelly. That's a tip I learned from a really great convertible top guy I'll tell you about later. I couldn't afford him, I don't deserve him, but I learned a few, in just 10 minutes with the guy, I already learned some skills. And one thing that's going to happen is this piece is going to get completely rubbed down, massaged almost with petroleum jelly. Let it soak in. And then I'm going to wipe off the excess, and this is going to be good for another 25 years. All right. I'm going to mark this with a pen on which side is up. Hopefully this is all going to scratch off later. But I'm going to say this is the passenger side and this is up. And that's going to tell me later when this thing's laying down somewhere and I'm just looking at it and I'm wondering what the heck is this part. It goes on the passenger side and this part is up. That ought to be enough. Let me set this part down. And we're going to go around to the other side and do that one. I'll be right back. Okay, so far so good. I got the driver's side up. I got the passenger side up. What do I do with them? I lay them on that back table in the same place I found them. Watch. Passenger side on the far outside. Driver's side on the far outside near the front. You could write all the instructions out as much as you want, but nothing's going to be as mnemonic. Look it up, M-N-E-M-O-N-I-C, mnemonic, a memory aid. Nothing's a better memory aid than seeing things lay out like that, because as it goes out, that's exactly the direction it has to go in. You literally work your way out to the back and then you work from the back to the front. Everything goes in nice. Let's see what we got next. Okay, this is another one where everybody learned the hard way what you got to do. We got to take some of these screws off. It looks like, oh, I'll be right back. I got to take somebody to the train station. All right, we're taking this thing apart, and what I'm seeing here is that there's holes in the metal right there and right here, so that these two bolts are not holding this outer strap of metal on. This outer strap of metal is just meant to hold the weather stripping on. It's not a part of the actual folding top. That's this back piece. So this has to come off first, and that's this screw, and this bottom screw. Let's go get the torque wrenches. There's no need to mark those, but what we do want to do is mark the relative position of this screw inside this slot, so that we are adjusting where this goes up and down according relative to this screw and relative to this screw. That's what we're trying to mark. We're not marking this. We're marking this relative to the two slots that are here. Let me mark that right now. All right, watch close. We care where this is relative to these two screws. So that's what I'm going to try to mark. I'm going to say that here's the center and here's the mark. Here's the center and here's the mark on the side, so that I get the relative distance. The rest of these are all just through holes. There's no need to try to mark those. That should be good enough. Let me get my Torx wrenches. Okay guys, I did the right thing and went and watched that other video. I should go get his name. Hold on. Okay, his name's Bruce Yearsley, Y-E-R, Yearsley. And what he said was, you only have to move these two, the ones that are in the slot, mark where they are relative, because then this back half actually comes right off and you're rocking. So that's what we're gonna do. He also said that there are two different sizes here. There are the ones that hold this outer plate on, and they're T20s. Don't need to take those off, so we don't need to worry about that. The ones inside here are T30s. So let's crack those loose. Jeepers. Glad I got this kind of a Torx wrench. Crack that one loose. Let's crack the other one loose too. Just checking if you can still see. I didn't spray any bolt loosener on this because I was worried that the paint wouldn't stick on my paint marker afterwards, but they seem to be coming out okay. They're just dirty, they're not rusty, which is really a testament to this part of the manufacturing of this convertible top. The rest of it I have serious issues with, but not this part. Wow. I don't know if you guys can hear my next door neighbor singing while he's mowing the lawn. Only on the day that I'm outside recording. All right, same thing with this. I got to go look for my my magnetic cup. Don't take any chances carrying this stuff around, guys. Put it in the cup. There we go. Let's put the next one in. I'm not worried about marking these. They look like machine screws. I don't need to worry about one being on the top, one being on the bottom. They're not threaded that uniquely. I don't want to use my power screwdriver on this. This is another one of those times where you want there to be feel. You want to feel what's happening. Now it's starting to come loose very nicely. The last thing you want to do is strip one of these parts. I can't even imagine how hard it would be to replace something like this. Back inside the tin. Now we've got this. Let's see what just happened. This whole top fell away. And what I ended up with is there's two screws here that are actually holding the side edge of the canvas on, and those are going to come off next. But first I got to go over to that far side over there. Let's go around. This one's going to be a little hard to see because of the sun. It's not like I can run around and move the car. Same thing as before, guys. I'm going to mark the center of where the bolt is in the slot like that. I'll probably do it on both sides just so I don't lose it. Looking pretty good. I'll let that dry and then I'm going to go and crack those loose. Here goes. Get them both cracked first. Now we already know it takes about 10 turns for it to come off. And we know the whole top is coming off. That's why it feels like it's a little tight here. Oops, don't want to do that. Want to maintain excellent, perfect contact and alignment. Can't afford to have these screws damaged in any way as they go back in. But I'll probably be putting them back together with anti-seize compound. All right, this goes inside the cup. Let's get the last one. It's about 10:30 in the morning right now. Started at about 8:30. Nah, I started at about 9 o'clock. Took until about 9:30 to really start because I was afraid. Starting to feel a little bit better. So far this is going okay. Not encountering any major rust or anything like that. Here's the last part. Goes inside the bowl. Now where are we? Now we've got these two screws have to come out for this plastic to peel off sideways, and that's the rest of the top. So let me get a nice, I will try taking those out with my power screwdriver. You put my Torx wrenches away. Here goes. Came out easy. Tiny little screw immediately goes inside the cup. Can't afford to lose any of those. I see one there. Here's the second one. This is inside plastic. So when these go back in, they have to go in very easy. This is plastic underneath, not metal. And now what I should see is this pops off. And sure enough it does, and it exposes the cable that needs to come off later. So now this whole corner looks like it's coming off nicely. And you'll see around the back here, this is all pulling away nicely. And that screw, that spring is what's going to come next. But let me finish taking off even on the other side. Okay, taking out the passenger side screws. Gentle. In the cup. Gentle. In the cup. You don't hear that little click, something's amiss. Let's see if this peels off nicely too. And it does. And now that whole top frame is loose except for whatever this is. And now it's time to figure out how that all comes apart. It looks to me like there's a screw down here, right there, and that screw has to come off. And then I think this will all fit through a feeder here, a feeder hole, and that on this side, everything's going to come out that side. This has to come undone. What to do first? Let's take this side screw off first. But first, I think what I'm going to do is put these screws back in here. What better place to put them than where they belong? They don't want to stay in. That's odd. They came out, but they don't want to go in. All right, I'll leave them out. All right, the next thing I want to do is take this side screw off to free up this cable and make it easier to work with. I'm comparing this to the other screws, and for all intents and purposes they're identical, so they go inside the container, not really separated. I've got one more screw on the back here that I'm going to take off. Right there. That retainer screw. And then this whole mechanism should feed through here, and this whole rail, this whole front header comes off. So here goes. And there it comes off. This goes in the cup. And this, I don't know, does it feed in like this? And that whole thing pops through? It's really hard to tell. It looks like there's a little sleeve, plastic sleeve here that makes this narrower and also acts as a sleeve. If this acts like a tendon, then it slips through there without tearing. But you got to push this out in order to make the hole. In order to make the hole on the back side here big enough, this hole, when this pops loose, everything can come out. And then the new piece is going to get fed in there. Let me go get a screwdriver to try to push it from the back. All right, I'm going to use plastic instead to try to push it from the back. Let's see what happens. It's not coming out. I'm going to try pulling from the front. It is not coming out no matter what I do. This does not want to come out. Doesn't even want to come loose. It's all deforming that little piece of plastic. Not cool. I can't tell if it's really coming out, even working its way out a little bit or not. Maybe a little bit. Ah, there it is. Came loose. So now it's through. And hopefully, oh, this is part. This looks like it's part of this, so maybe I'll get a replacement and I don't have to feel worried about that being trashed. But now this whole side of the header looks like except for some rivets back here, the only thing left on this side are some rivets underneath there. They need to get drilled out, and then this whole header is a free piece. It's just going to lay down in the front of the car. I can't think of any other place to put it. So those rivets are going to have to get drilled out, and that's where I'm going to end up putting brand new pop rivets in with my replacement webbing. Let me go drill these two. Let me go get the other screws out on the other side first. The sunlight's kind of defeating me here right now, guys, but here's the last one that goes on this side. I already took the side screw off, so now this little one's off in the cup, and let's see if I can pull this one through too. We're going to try pushing from here, working it into that hole, that little grommet, that little bung, it's often what they're called. You can think of it like the sleeve around a tendon. It's just a piece of Teflon that's meant to lubricate this moving back and forth so it doesn't get worn out. Just got to keep working it until it pops through. Flip it over a little bit. Don't know if you guys can see that now. It's getting really hard with the sunlight here. That little part right there. I've got to try to pry it out. So I'm going to pull on it from this side, and then I'm going to push on it from the back side until I win. And yep, you expect that this one's going to be a battle, guys. This part's a fight. Right there. Pushing it in from here. Pushing it in, pulling from the back, and finally, there. Finally it comes loose. So now on this side too, only thing left to do are to drill these two pieces out. And I want to try to put something underneath here. Piece of paper, piece of cardboard, something. I got to catch all the metal filaments, or eventually those filaments are going to find their way into the next top, and we don't want that. So let me get set up for that, and then I'll show you. Change of plans. Because I can get away with it, guys, I've decided that this piece, let me lift this up a little bit and stand back. This piece we're talking about replacing, I have the brand new webbing here. So this is throwaway. I can cut this, take the whole top off, and drill this away from the car. What I don't want is metal filings anywhere near my new top. I don't want them working their way in, creating holes, and I got to replace the top again. So if I can do this away from the car, I absolutely will, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut this right here with a pair of scissors, dunk, and do the same thing on the other side, and this whole top is going to lift off. Let me set up for you guys to watch that, and then I'm going to put it over there. Okay, watch me while I cut this. First on this side, I'll just cut it wherever it's convenient. I'm not keeping the part. Done. Over on this side, not keeping the part because it's completely dry rotted underneath. There's no, I'd be crazy to keep this part. Spend the $140 because if you were to keep this dry rotted piece after 25 years, you put a brand new top on, 5 years from now, this dry rot fails, the whole top fails, it still seals. It's waterproof, but it doesn't work. What have you done? Now you have to go and pull the whole top off to put the new straps back on. You've wasted what you did 5 years earlier. So now I've got this whole piece, should now be completely available to me. Go and lay down right here. So now I've got the top rail right there. I've got this piece right here. And I've got a set of bolts that I need to tape on to that side, to this side, because they won't stay inside here. I'm going to go tape them on, and then I'll show you what that looks like. All right, sometimes instead of taping, it makes more sense to screw everything back in. So I gently screwed these two bolts in and these 3 screws in. And then I repeated that over on this side. 2 bolts, 3 screws. Now I'm just going to rotate this gently, put it in the same orientation as the rest of the parts to remind me what side is passenger side, what side is driver side, what side is passenger side. Next thing, I may as well drill these out just to say that they're done. That's going to come next. Don't know if you guys need to see that or not. Okay, I said we're going to drill this part out. It's a tricky part trying to decide, what size bit to use. But the general rule is start small, guys. Don't start big. Start small and drill the center out. If it turns out it's not enough, then go to a bigger size until you drill up enough material that the rivet pulls loose. But start small. And what I want to do is I'm going to do this off to the side here. In fact, I'm going to go do it over in the grass. I do not want those metal filings anywhere. Anywhere where they're going to get into my tire, anywhere they're going to get into that brand new top. Okay, we're away from everything on top of my garbage cans. And we're starting small, drilling straight down through. And it came right out. Get rid of all of this material immediately. Throw it away. In a garbage can. Otherwise, you just traded one problem for another. You throw it on the ground, it's got a piece of metal filing, it goes inside your $250, $400 Jeep tire. And all the money that you saved on doing the top yourself, you just put into having to buy new tires for your Jeep because you're a moron. All right, that went pretty easy. Let's see if that's enough to get it off. Yep, but I've still got them stuck down inside. They need to be drilled fully out. There's nothing on the back side there. Get rid of the metal filings. I'm going to hang on to this for a reference. I'm going to go and set it down out on the table there. Do you see this hole right here that goes through the metal? You don't want to make that hole any bigger. So now I'm going to go back and double check my bit and make sure it's no bigger than that hole. And it looks like actually it's a perfect fit. Dumb luck on my part. Let's finish drilling these out until I can go all the way down and through. By the way, in case you're curious, this is a... What is this? This is a 5/30 seconds diameter. Seemed to do the job. Convert that to millimeters, whatever way you want. Looks like it might be 3, maybe 4 millimeters at most. Get directly inside it. There. Now, get rid of all of that material. Be right back. Even use a brush if you have one. I've got a little toothbrush just for this. And this. So now I've got a clean hole there, ready to be reused. Ready for new rivets, but not any larger than the originals. Did as about as good a job as I could. Let me flip this piece around and we'll do the other side. This is where you hope you don't make mistakes, because this is aluminum, cast aluminum, and if I screw it up, I'm in trouble. Yeah, let's see. Hang on, I'll be right back. Okay, here's the second half. Drilling gently first, right through the center. There. In the garbage. Come off. And let's do the second one. Okay, and that's what this one looks like on the passenger side. Let me get rid of this. I'll be right back. I'm actually grabbing it with a pair of needle nose pliers and then running it in reverse. There it is. You don't want to always grab it, guys. It might be hot. You know, it's metal. It just got done getting cut, so it's going to be hot from friction. Okay, let me go put this web back out on the table in its reference position. I'll be right back. All right, now we just got to finish drilling the rest of the rivet out of that hole. Done. And done. Let's go clean this off. It's just brushing it with an old toothbrush, guys. Blowing it out. And then doing it a second time. Because again, under no circumstances do you want any of that anywhere near your car. You're going to undo everything you just did. All right, let's put this all the way around and take a peek at it. Okay, we've got those rivets drilled out. Two nice clean holes. Over on this side, two nice clean holes. All the screws have been put back in. The webbing that I cut, I placed back on my reference table, my parts table. Let's go here and lay this down and see what we're doing. That's what we're setting up. So then now I've got this piece of webbing showing right there. This piece of webbing showing right here, and I'm starting to disassemble the parts in an intelligent way. Time for me to go back and look at the references and see what's next. I don't know what comes next. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back from referencing two videos that Richard Yearsling and also MAINE Jason. And what MAINE Jason did next is actually finish removing these side pieces of rubber and getting them out of the way on both sides. His nomenclature was that the first piece that I took off was called top. It's passenger top, so PT, passenger middle, passenger bottom. And I'm going to put a little arrow showing the orientation as well. So let me mark these and then peel them off. Okay, I'm on the driver's side, and here's how I've marked it. If I were to pull this whole thing so that it opened up again, this would be facing forward, driver's side middle. This would be facing up, top, driver's side bottom. And on this side, I've marked it passenger side middle, and this way is forward. And this is passenger side bottom, and this is the top. Let me just gently peel these off. Don't need to show you that. And then I'm going to go lay it out on the table. I'm on the driver's side. Everybody says these things are really easy and then they don't show how to peel them off. But if you look down on the end here, guys, you'll see the beginning of that rail. If you literally just pull in on the middle, it starts to squish and it pulls out of those two grooves and then comes right off. And you can do the same thing here. Just start grabbing in the middle. Don't grab it in the corner. grab it in the middle, start pulling. The outsides will squeeze. The outsides will squeeze in towards the center. It'll come out of that channel, and then you just pull it gently away from the center, and it comes off. Let's go set up. Okay, here's where we are so far. Driver's side, top, middle, bottom, with orientation for where to go in. My other pieces are all coming off facing in exactly the orientation that matches the car, so there's no misconstruing. Pieces of my webbing and the pieces of the rubber that were on this side that all came off. Again, later I'm going to go and massage all of this with petroleum jelly to recondition it before I start putting it back in. All right, let's go review a little bit more and see what's next. It might seem obvious, but every once in a while, if you notice your hands are getting dirty, go back in the house and get them all cleaned off. You don't want that dirt getting on your nice tan canvas top or anywhere else on your car. So regularly clean your hands as you go. You don't want any of that grease. You don't want grease. You don't want grime. You don't want any of that gum, that caulking. You don't want that spread around at all. Keep clean. Okay, what Main Jason does next is take these off, and that's going to require some marking and some T25 torque screws to pull off to get at what's underneath there. So that's what I'm working on next. Let's mark them. Okay, time to take off the rest of these parts and this rail. These are all T25, and I only have to take the ones off that hold the part on, not the ones in the slot. So I've already taken this one off, and it's already inside my cup. My magnetic cup. I'm going to go get the very last one first. Next. Very carefully pull this out. You start dropping these parts down, it's bad. And I've noticed right away that these are different length parts. The short one was in the front. The longer one was on the top. I need to mark these somehow. Let's see what the other ones all look like. It's another short one, and I'm laying them out in my cup, kind of in the orientation that this was the topmost one. We'll see if I can figure out a pattern, a way to store all of that information, a way to store it. Okay, like that. And I do not have an idea yet on what I'm going to do. I only know that I've marked this part, and now I can pull it off and go lay it on the table. Wow, it's kind of warped. That's interesting. And I'm noticing that there's some little C channels on here too. I'll have to make sure I don't lose those, they don't come off. That's going to be critical, I bet. Let's go set that on the table. Oh, what to do with this part? There's little screws inside here now. Let's see if I can see this. If we look down inside, we see that those are the screws I need to get at. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws that need to come out. And then the plastic part holding the canvas on comes away from the frame, which is what we're trying to do here. So let me set the camera up to watch me do that. If it seems like I'm being excessive, I'm just trying to add to what Main Jason and Richard Yearsling already did. They already did a great job. I'm just trying to add my own little piece. Add to that body of knowledge. Let me find a screwdriver. Let me show you what I'm doing over here with my screws. The long screw went back inside that hole and got taped over. Same thing with the short screw, and now this short screw goes in there. It's hard to do with one hand. Goes inside, put a piece of tape over, and hold it in place. So then now I've got my piece taped to the underside, taped inside, so it's in exactly the orientation they're all supposed to be in. And I'll put it right next to the piece of gasket that it needs to have. And then I'm going to go back and repeat that over on the driver's side. Be right back. Remember when I told you guys there's always going to be something weird that happens, something that goes wrong. You just need to embrace it. It's part of it. It's part of doing a DIY. I just encountered my first one. I'm on the driver's side, top, middle, bottom of this outside bracket. And if you remember on the passenger side, the top bolt was longer, noticeably, significantly longer than the other three. And yet on this one, look, they're all the same length. This top's been replaced once, and somebody lost a nut, somebody lost a bolt and replaced it with whatever they had. It was the right dimension, it was the right pitch, but it was a different depth, and they got away with it. And now I'm stuck with that one little odd part. Now I know why MAINE Jason and Richard Yearsling didn't mention that one side is longer than the other. It's because they didn't experience that, because nobody screwed up on their top like somebody screwed up on mine. But now you know, stuff like that can happen. Just keep track of it all. Let's go put these parts back on the table. Okay, needed a little break. Let's take these screws out now that are holding a piece of plastic tied onto the canvas. And I need a Phillips bit. Be right back. Okay, we got our magnetic cup in hand. Let's go. Actually, I'm encountering a little bit of resistance right here. I'm going to go get an extension for this. Be right back. By the way, here's a shameless plug. Don't buy a bunch of tools, guys. I bought this little kit with this extension and a short extension for something like, I don't know, $7 at Harbor Freight Tools. And it's got everything I need. Every type of head. Torx, hex wrench, Phillips, flat, you name it. That way it's a lot easier to put inside a drill like this, even put inside a handle, like on a ratchet handle. Way easier than having a whole bunch of individual tools. So let's put a Phillips #2 in and get started again. Yeah, now I'm not banging into any of my parts. Getting my finger underneath there. Oh, these are nerve-wracking right here. This is where you just know that part's going to fall somewhere. I'm going to try to put my finger underneath it first and then catch it into the magnetic cup. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Notice how when I pulled it out with my finger on it like this. That's a good way to hold it. And then carry it right over to your magnetic cup. Let's have a little bit more control here. Same thing. I'm going to lift it out with my fingernail on it like that. And then drop it in the cup. I just realized this particular drill bit is not, this particular screwdriver bit is not magnetic. That's why you see me using that fingernail method. Learned that from my dad. That's a Chuck Vogt method. He had such big hands. I'm the runt of the family at 6'1", 240 pounds. Everybody else in the Vogt family is 6'4", 6'5", 300 pounds. Just big. But he couldn't get at stuff like this when I was a little kid and we're working on cars and engines. So he had to learn how to pick things out with one finger and a fingernail. But there's the last piece on that side. Let's see what happens here. Nothing's coming off yet. What's going on here? Oh, because it's so decrepit. Here it's coming off. Hopefully you guys are watching this. I'm literally prying it off. but I can feel the plastic so old, it's just giving up. And there we go. And there's a rivet on the other end here that's got a, it just broke free. I'm gonna have to figure out what to do about that. The rivet's got to come out because the new top's gonna have a piece of plastic that's gonna have a hole there. And we got the rest of the tension cable right here. Can you guys see that on the back side here? The rest of the tension cable that needs to be replaced. It's not that long. It's not that long. The rest of the tension cable is right there. And what the heck? It's riveted on. It's riveted. Let's go take the other side off the same way. Time to do something else scary. I've noticed that this top has started coming down a little bit, and I need it to get back up where I can work on the rest of the parts, not be collapsed. So I need to see if the motor still works enough that I can turn it on and see if it will pull itself up. We're about to find out. I have no idea what's going to happen right now. I hope it's not catastrophic. If it is catastrophic, it'll be good video. Here goes. Woo! Now you guys know it's possible. Mark sacrificed his body. How pathetic. Sacrificing life and limb. But we still see, this is interesting. I don't know why one side of this tension cable, and they all get torn, they all get torn right through. One side of this tension cable screwed into the front, that big aluminum header rail. But on the bottom side here, a couple of stupid rivets. And they go in from the back side, not the front side. Let me show you. These rivets, you're looking at the back side. That's actually the side that, I don't know, what the heck? That looks like what should be the bottom side of the rivets. Like they went in from this side. I honest to God don't know how. That doesn't look like a rivet head. I am at a loss as to what's going on there. But that's going to have to get addressed shortly because I've got replacement cables here. So I've got to figure out how to tear that off and put a new one on. But at least we got this part off. And now we're going to go do the same thing on that side. Let's get set up. All right, one other thing I wanted to tell you about was I just got done taking all these screws out here. But if you'll notice where those screws go, that stays inside the car. So now I've got 5 screws that I got to try to keep track of. And they don't go back inside the car. What do I do with them? Here's my approach. Lay a piece of tape out, face up, sticky side up, lay all of your screws right there, and then take another piece of tape and lay it on the top. Let me see. Watch. Voila. I've got all those screws accounted for. They're not easily going to move anywhere. I can see how many there are. It's going to stay on this side. It stays on the table, doesn't go back in the car. I ought to be able to keep track of it. Let's go do the other side. Dang, trying to get the right camera angle is tough. All right, let's see if we can get the driver's side screws off out of that channel. Number 1. Get my finger underneath it. Got it. Number 2. Ah. If you're going to manipulate the parts, guys, get them out. See all this part? This is where you don't want to be manipulating the part. Get it out here, even on the ground. Let it fall on the asphalt of your driveway, the sidewalk. get it out of the car, circle around, drop it back in. Having trouble getting my nail underneath that one. Here we go. Again, once you get it out, oops. Once you get it out, get it away from the car. Not over the top of some cavern from hell where when you drop it, you never see it again. And then you're one of those guys that has fewer parts going in than came out. Got the part, get it away from the cracks. Drop it in. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I should be able to peel this off now. I'm going to be a little rough with it because, you know, oh, hey, this rivet's working. I don't know if you guys can see this right here. That rivet's still intact. Let me get down a little lower. Crap. I think what I'm going to do is just tear it off the rivet because I don't want to try to drill that rivet out just to get a piece that I'm already throwing away. So it just came off. So now that's off. And the only thing left to do is figure out how to get these. I guess I got to drill these rivets out. And then the canvas top is almost off the frame. There's some cutting to be done. I'm looking here, there's some screws holding webbing on. Didn't expect that. I think that's a kludge. Let me go take care of these 5 screws first. I'll be right back. All right, let's see what we got so far. We just took those 5 screws out on the driver's side, those 5 screws out on the passenger side, and we're continuing to lay things out nice and methodically. I'm actually a high-priced data scientist. Work on multi-million-dollar projects on a regular basis. AI, ChatGPT, large language models, RAG, you name it. Everything that's up in there. Speech-to-text models with intelligence, that kind of stuff. And all of the skills I use in data science that I'm noted for in my company and with my customers, I actually learned from my dad as a teenage boy working in a garage about how to be methodical in how you analyze a system, how you lay it out, how you break it down into pieces that go together naturally and intuitively. That all came from learning how to work on cars. So you kids out there that want to go into data science, but you also wonder why your dad wants you working in the garage, now you know why. This is actually setting the stage to make you a better data scientist, a better consultant than you could ever be, cracking open books and looking at books and writing code at a keyboard. Because that won't teach you how to be organized, and it won't teach you how to actually analyze anything and how to methodically handle parts that you didn't build yourself. That's what we're learning here, guys. Let's continue. We got to figure out how to drill. All right, what's next is we've got to figure out how to drill this out to get this cable off. Actually, we're going to leave that for now. I'm going to solve that problem later after this top is off. So now it's time to go in. I'm seeing some stamped on, some riveted on welds or webbing, and I see some screwed on webbing. And those screws, guys, they don't look like they're supposed to be there. How can there be all kinds of rivets and then suddenly a screw? It's time for me to go back and refer to MAINE Jason and Richard Yearsling. I'll be right back. Okay, I just got done watching Jason's and Richard's, and what they're saying is that this piece has to come off next, and it's just a great big clip, literally pries off. I think I need to move the top forward again in order to do that. Let me get back in the car. Okay, on this, I'm peeling. Actually, is there a need? I don't really even need to peel this off. They took this piece off. All I need to do next is take this little piece off. And the one that I laughed at, I said there's a screw here. I said there's a screw right there and it doesn't belong. It actually does belong. So let me take those 2 screws off. Hold on. All right, let's see if that works. You guys can see this one little screw that takes this webbing off. I'm taking this out with a regular screwdriver, not a power one. because I want to understand what it feels like. That's just a piece of tube metal. I'm going to take this out very carefully. Can't afford to lose this little sucker. And that's going to go on the table right away. Let's go to the other side. Before I do that other side, what I want to do is feed this strap. I want to review this. This is going to be my reference documentation, that strap's going to go out. Where else is it going to go? I've got something that needs to be cut here. It looks like it's riveted on, but I'm just going to, it's so deteriorated, I'm just going to cut it right here so that it's free from the top. Let me do that right now. All right, we're just going to come right in here. This is this tab with a loop on it. Hey, Dale. This tab is actually a part of a good top, so it's going to get laid on and riveted back in. But for disassembly, I'm just going to cut it, and let's see what happens. Now, got to get the bottom half right there. And now this whole side is going to start pulling away to the next side of the bow that needs to get taken apart. Let me go finish over on that side. All right, I'm looking at my bows here, and I told you guys I was going to leave this piece here, but actually this piece ultimately is going to become a part of the clamping mechanism. Let me show you what happens. On the back side of the canvas are these two, is actually a stitched on little piece of cloth that comes over here, wraps on the underside, and this clamps in from underneath to hold that cloth on. And this, on the new top, this is what that piece of cloth looks like when it's in good shape. So now imagine that this was off. Imagine that this was off like this, and you wrap the cloth in there, and then you pinch it up inside. And that's how the cloth stays on, how the top stays on. All right, let's finish taking these screws off. In the back, we've got the screws off of this front bow. Now it's the middle bow. And once we get it off the middle bow, guys, it's going to be time to actually cut around here, just like both MAINE Jason and Richard Yearsling did, and the top should come off. Let me put the camera away. Okay, we took the screws out of the middle bow just like we did on the front bow. And again, what I did, guys, is trap those in pieces of tape. So we got a front bow, middle bow. They're trapped inside there. Next, we're working our way backwards. There's a piece of, this is totally rotted, dry rotted webbing. I'm going to take a picture of it, what it looks like right here, so that I get the idea that you curve over and then rivet it in from the back, because I am going to have to put this piece back on, and then I'm going to unceremoniously cut this in order to pull the back. This part should now, what's this? I don't think there's anything holding this piece on, this piece of webbing. Let me put the camera up. All right, we're getting ready to take the whole top off in that last cut, and I'm looking for any last thing that needs to be done, and I do not feel anything. It's like this is glued on. Yeah, it is, just taped on. So now that's off, ready to go. Got to remember that's some kind of adhesive went on. This needs to be cut. Let me get a scissors. I'm over on the passenger side because it's better lighting over here. And this side's already clean broke off. No, there it is. I got to peel this off. Okay, that's off now. This gets clipped. Same thing, it curls around and then rivets on the back side. That should be the whole top. Now we just got to pull the seal out and do some cutting. But this is ready. I'm pretty sure this is ready now to get unceremoniously cut right here. And I'm probably going to do it with a scissors so I can control it. Let's go watch the video just to make sure. Okay, guys, Here comes the scary part. We cut all the way around the back here to get ready to take this off. Use a box cutter, something where you get to control. You get to control the depth of the cut. If you go in like this, you might cut like this. You don't want to do that. You want to cut only as deep as you need to. I'm going to start right in the middle here somewhere, where I can actually feel what's going on behind here. It's like gutting a deer, actually. And I'm going to cut my first cut and then look inside. Now I'm going to start working my way around. This is how you field dress a deer, guys. You put your two fingers in on either side to open up the cut here. You see this strap? I might want to keep that one particular piece of webbing. Might be in good shape. That's why I was reaching inside here and glad I didn't cut too deep. So now I'm going to just very carefully cut my way through here, cutting only the outside canvas. Check this out. What I want you guys to see is the canvas webbing that's underneath here. Oops. Here's what I want to show you guys. By putting your two fingers apart like this and feeling underneath, I was able to detect this webbing before I had a chance to cut it. And it actually feels like it's in good shape. I might want to keep that piece and then have my brand new replacement around as a spare. Now I'm going to just keep cutting here, looking ahead, cutting, looking ahead, feeling ahead. I can go about 6 inches. See how that's looking? Let me tick the camera up. Let me go back here. There's all kinds of angles that you got to chase, guys, on the video here. Hope you can keep up with it. Okay, we're looking ahead, we're cutting, looking and feeling ahead, we're cutting, looking and feeling ahead, we're cutting, looking and feeling ahead, cutting. Sharp knife. Do not do this with a dull blade. You will regret it. You will absolutely regret it. We're coming around the other side, and now we know there's a web strapping here that we got to watch out for. I'm feeling ahead already. Way over here. I don't feel the strap. It's way over here somewhere. Here it is. So I can cut freely here. Feeling ahead. I can go about 2 inches. Now I start to see the beginning of a strap. Now you can start to see the beginning of that strap, the one that you want to preserve. Can you see that right there? I want to keep it. So I got to keep my two fingers underneath there. Keep my two fingers underneath so I feel the strap. Get the strap out of the way, get both of the straps out of the way. Now my fingers guide. Cut an inch, look an inch. Cut an inch, look an inch. Cut an inch, look an inch. Move around. And now we see there's my big web strapping. Completely preserved, unfucked. Let's keep going. Look ahead. Looks like it's clear sailing the rest of the way. I'm going to start cutting from the backwards now. Looking pretty good. This stuff is pretty tough. I might not be able to cut it with a blade. I may end up having to use scissors to get through all that plastic. I've got these boning shears that I use for chicken bones. Let me go bring those over here. Here's my boning shears. Let's see if they can cut through. There. Nearly done. Don't make any stupid mistakes. Don't get fast now. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. And now, there. That side of the top is done. Our webbing is completely preserved. Still don't know if I'm going to replace this strap right here. I still don't know if I'm going to replace this strap, but at least I got a choice. It feels a little dry rotted on the underside. It's going to end up getting replaced, but at least I had a choice by doing it smart. Let me go cut the other side, and that top's about ready to come off. Okay, we just got to use the boning shears on this side. In this last little bit, this front part, now we have a top off. No, we don't. I've got one piece of strapping over here that needs to be cut. All dry rotted. Now we have a strap off. Now we have a convertible top off. And what I'm going to do is fold this up and go and lay this over on the back table. There's only one thing left to do. Pry all of this back to get at that back strapping. There's this piece of weather stripping that needs to come out. Then we get to actually finish tearing these. We get to start replacing the webs. But the easy, they say the easy part's done. I don't know, I think that was the hard part. And let's see what we got so far. We got our front headers, our passenger side, our driver's side, and we've got the back neatly and intelligently taken off. So far, so good. I think these straps have already been cut. So now it's going to be time to take a picture of this for posterity, because I don't know how to put it back in. And I'm going to start cutting these off and taking those rivets out. I'm not going to take that back off just yet. Let's go take these rivets out. And I'm going to cut here, drill that rivet with a piece of cloth underneath here to catch all the filings. You could put a piece of, I don't know, cardboard underneath there that would make it easier cleanup. But that's not the goal, guys. The goal isn't easy. The goal is not to have a piece of cardboard that cleans easy, that you get rid of the filings easily. The goal is that no filings go in the car. So you want to put a towel down underneath here to catch every single filing as you start to drill that rivet out, and this rivet out, and this rivet out. You want all this covered with a piece of throwaway cloth, because chances are you're never going to get all those metal filings out of it. It's a throwaway. So find a rag, an old t-shirt, something that's going to cover all this up. Get your drilling done, and then throw that piece away. And then go do the other side and throw that piece away. The result is going to be that you don't have any metal filings in the car to get back inside the new top and mess it up. Let me go get set up. I'll show you what I mean. There's no particular time when you need to pull the clips off here, but these long, slender tubes like you see down here, these are clips that actually hold a piece of cloth on that's sewn onto the top. So you pull the top down, you wrap the cloth around the bow, and then you clip it on with this. And what I've done is say that this is the front bow, driver side, passenger side. And this one is the middle bow, passenger side, driver side. And I'm going to do the same thing with the rear bow as well. Let me just finish that up. Okay, here's what we got so far. I put the bows in. We got the top. We got the bow in here. Even little remnants of webbing, I'm keeping very careful track of and laying it down in the relative position I took it out, because I may lose track of how everything goes back in the car. And that's going to be my best reference. Let me finish cleaning up. We're getting ready to actually drill. But this old dead cloth that used to be stitched onto the top, all this needs to be cleaned off. And guys, you see how black this is? That's mold. You want to make sure you clean that off because mold spreads. I'm going to be actually wiping this down really, really well with some kind of an antiseptic, some kind of antimicrobial. Because if I put brand new cloth on there and there's already mold there, that mold's going to get into that cloth in days, not in weeks or months or years. I got to get this all cleaned off. This has to be pristine before I start putting a virgin piece of convertible top on there. All right, let's do a quick rivet check so far. We've got 2 rivets that go on the front bow that have to get drilled out. We've got 2 rivets, one on either side. No, we've got 2 more rivets here and 2 more rivets there for a total of 4 rivets. They got to get drilled out of the middle bow. We've got 1, 2, 3, a third one on the front on either side of the rear bow for a total of 6. So 6 plus 4 is 10, plus 2 more is 12. Plus we've got a rivet that's down here on both sides, 13, 14. We got 14 rivets left to drill out. And we got to clean the bow, and we still got to pull this back out. It's coming up on, it's about 1:30 in the afternoon, and I started at 9 o'clock. I'm 4 hours in already, and I might be done today, but I'm sure hoping that tomorrow it's not going to rain. Okay, guys, I've got an old rag that's underneath here acting as a catch blanket, like a safety net. Its sole purpose is to catch a bunch of drilling filaments, leftovers from drilling holes, and then be thrown away. And I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 holes on this side, catch all those fillings, go throw them off in the grass, try to reuse this because I just don't have another rag that's big enough, and then go do the driver's side. So here goes. Commencing the drilling. 7 on a side. Got that top ready to go. This is off. That's a very small hole, and I have a very big drill. I need to use a smaller drill so that I don't make that hole any bigger. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. I had to run into my tool kit and get a whole set of screws or drill bits. And what I'm going to do is start with the smallest one, and that's a good fit, so I'll hang on to that one. But I'm going to try to make it even bigger. That's too small. This might be big enough. Actually, that rivet just fell out. So now I can actually gauge, glad I got the blanket. Now I can actually gauge the size of that hole by measuring it, and that one's actually, these are both too small. Too small. Just right. That's the one I'm going to use. Let me put these back on the table and we'll continue drilling. This is definitely the part you don't want to screw up, guys. All right, so we got the front bow done. Now we got to do the rear bow, the middle bow, sorry. And it's two of them. Be careful, I've been drilling so long on that one, it's going to be hot. Not too bad. Nope, not done yet. My rivet is turning. That can happen sometimes. Let me go see. It's a tough one. Tough one. Sometimes you can go at an angle and you pinch the rivet inside its hole like that. That'll pinch it slightly and then it'll come out. Got lucky. I'm going to clean these holes out just a little bit. I would have liked to have gotten the rivet out of that, but the rivet's buried inside that particular bow, guys. There's no getting it. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. We're almost halfway done. Going pretty well so far. Good, you can see it. I got to find a way to clamp those rivets to keep them from rotating. I've got a little vice grips I'm going to go get. Hold on. Actually, a pair of water pump pliers will work. This happens sometimes when you've got a rivet on the edge of a rounded surface. The rivet's not actually clamping into the surface itself. It's only the barrel and the mushroom that's on the inside. And if you start drilling, you could end up gripping it and start turning it. So one solution is to just grip a little bit, grip the edge with a pair of pliers so it can't turn, and then continue drilling. Like that. I'm going to change camera angles. You guys want to see this. Okay, watch how I grip. Watch how I grip that rivet that's spinning to keep it from spinning. So then I can come in here and actually finish drilling it. There we go. Rivet comes off, goes into the catch. One down. I'll clean that hole up a little bit. Now we got two more, one on this side, one on that side, and the same thing might happen. So I'm going to just grip it right from the beginning. Doesn't have to be much, just a light touch. There we go. Throwing everything inside the canvas. Actually, it's one of my wife's old dresses. Shh. Pretty sure she was throwing it away. Pretty sure. I take it all back. It wasn't a dress. It was a rag. I swear to God, it was a rag. All right, now this one's going to go way down inside here. Damn it! I got to get this rag out here where it's going to catch those fillings, and I got to keep this thing from. I got to keep this bow from dropping. I got to get set up better. Hold on. Okay. Might have to switch hands on this one, but I'm going to try to clamp it from this side. Drill it from this side. better than I ever thought it was going to. That piece is down. That hole looks clean. We only got one left to do on this side. And so far I've caught all my filaments. The last one's going to be the trickiest one of all because, you guys, this last one's going to be tough because of just the location here. It's this rivet. And what I've done is to try to drape and stuff this cloth down in every conceivable crevice where fillings might actually show up. Filaments, fillings. Let's see if it helps. Pretty good. I'm going to throw that inside here. And now we've got all 7 rivets from this side. So now what you want to see me do is very carefully take my cloth out so that I don't tip it upside down in any way. I'm trying to retain all of those filings, filings, all of that, all those shavings from the drill. There. And if you look around, what you'll see is that you can't see any. There's one tiny little filling in there and it's aluminum. There's a little there. That one's cleaned out. That's about as good as it gets, guys. And now go and throw this in the garbage can, shake it out over the grass because we're going to reuse it over on the passenger side. We're getting there. Okay, let's see if I can do the driver's side in one take. First, we have one on the front bow. Now, you guys got to see this stuff. I got lucky, I pulled it loose, but I got to spread this out a little bit. It's actually falling into the, potentially can fall into the side of my car. We absolutely don't want that. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. All right, there's the front bow out of the way. Next one, the middle bow. We've got two on the back side here. All right, let's do the two on the middle one. Two there. Moving, got to clamp it. All I'm doing is trying to catch the edge. It doesn't take much to hold it. There. All right, that one's done. Second one, I may as well clamp to right now. I'm going to zoom out. I tried zooming in, seeing if that would help. But it's easier if you guys just zoom out. Sorry, it's easier if you guys just zoom in when you're watching it than if I zoom in and then I miss something. There's some context that you don't get. Rats, not quite done. That seemed like a good idea, but it wasn't. Now I left the body in there and I pried the head off. Not clever. Now I got to try to drill it out still. There. I got lucky. All right, that's nice and clean. That's 2 out of the bows, out of the 3 bows. We just got all of the, what are there, 1, 2, 3 left on the back one. Let's pull that up. Make sure that I'm still catching all my filings. I don't know why I call them fillings. You say dumb things on camera sometimes. You're just talking because you're so busy thinking you're so busy thinking about what you're doing instead of about what you're saying, that sometimes you just say dumb stuff. Let's see if that's in camera. Yeah, it's right in the middle. This is taking probably an hour longer than it should have, only because I'm filming it. I'm not really pushing that hard, by the way. I just have really good carbide bits. More of these from Harbor Freight Tools again. They make it easy to buy good quality stuff. Reasonably good quality stuff. Okay, 2 left to go on this side. Make sure I'm catching those filings. Filings. Shit. Let's get that one next. Keep everything over the blanket. Get all those little filings out. And we got one more on this side that I'm going to get from, I'm going to move the camera. Okay. This time we're going to have to play my right-handed and try to be a little ambidextrous. Hold it like that. Okay, nice and clean there. One left down here at the bottom. Let's set the camera up. Okay, last rivet to go. Remember, you got to try to stuff any material you can down here. You don't want any filings getting in there. It's going to start creating a clog, preventing draining from happening. Just bad stuff. And we're going to only drill as much as we absolutely need to. No more. If you drill slow, you get bigger filings, bigger shavings. Now we're gonna make sure this all comes out there. I'd rather have it in the driveway than in the car. Okay, that should be all 7 rivets on the driver's side. Now we gotta carefully pick up the corners to form an upside down parachute and make sure we catch everything and I don't spill it inside my car. That would be bad. And see, I've got one little filing right here. Come see what it looks like. We got the one on the front. We got the 2 of the front one, the 2 on the back, the 3 that are on the middle bow, and the 4th one all nice and clean here. And if we look through here, I see one little metal filing there. I'm going to lick my finger, go down in there and press, and you're going to see that it's stuck to my finger. And then we're going to dispose of it in the grass. All right, let me shake that out. We are empty, guys. It's actually time to, I think it's time to pull this weather stripping out, pull this whole liner out, expose all of those screws, and that comes out. And then starts the reassembly. Yay! Time check, it's about 1:30 in the afternoon, and we started at 1:45, and I started at about 9 o'clock with a break to take my daughter to the train station. So 9, 10, 11, 12, 1:30, minus a half an hour for that. 4 hours so far to tear it out from scratch. That's not bad. There's still plenty of daylight. I think we can get this done today. Oh, shit. I'm going to cheat a little bit. My cables that are on here are in such good shape, I actually can't justify drilling these 2 holes out and replacing this with a brand new piece. I just can't. Maybe I'll talk myself into it if I have the rivets that look like this, but I don't. So what I'm going to do next is finish cleaning up these bows. You guys don't need to see that. It's just running a butter knife over this and cleaning this off and then running it down with some kind of a, not ammonia, but some kind of antimicrobial. These have to be clean. And then we're going to start pulling this out. And I'm going to watch the YouTube, the other 2 videos from MAINE Jason and from Richard Yearlings to see if there's anything I've overlooked, but we're getting close. Okay, my bows are clean enough for now. It's time to actually start taking this rear storage compartment out. They call it a storage compartment, but really that's where the top goes, guys. It's not a storage compartment. These are going to get popped out with a trim removal tool. Then we're going to pull this whole thing out, and that's going to expose a bunch of bolts. So let's get started. All right, I watched MAINE Jason's video, and he says you just pull those out, and this lining, you pull 4 buttons out, plastic pop rivets, and this is supposed to come out, but that sure looks like this is all the way underneath this ledge, and this has to all come off in order to get at that. Maybe even, it's even underneath here too. But I don't remember him saying you had to take any of this stuff off. So I'm a little confused that they just moved right into saying, pull this out, because it sure looks like a lot of stuff's got to come out. Let me take these screws out yet next. All right, right or wrong, I noticed that even on this, somebody else, whoever's touched this last, they just started tucking it underneath here. I took those 3 screws out of that edge to make it easier to pull it, but I just started pulling underneath this rail, and I noticed, yeah, it is starting to come loose. I just don't know how it's all gonna, go back in afterwards, honestly, because it's tucked It's tucked underneath an edge here, underneath this edge. It's going to be a pain in the ass trying to put back in. Let's just pull this all out. Let's go over to that side. Pull underneath. And again, there's a bead there that it's pulling out from underneath. You see that? And then, I guess, this whole thing lifts out. Now I wish I'd vacuumed it all first, because this stuff's all going to stay inside here if I'm not careful. You see that extra piece that's underneath there? It's a little damp. That's because my top's worn. And this plastic, this whole piece here, I've never seen a piece of plastic more brittle. It's like an eggshell. If I went and wrapped it right now, crack into a bunch of pieces. And you can't find those parts to save your soul, not in tan. All right, let's get this out from underneath. Okay, now I got to make sure I lift all this out. I got to put you down, camera, to pick all of this out, and I'm going to go put it in the sun to dry out. Okay, I've taken that liner out and put it in the sun. It needs to dry out. It needs to clean out. That's the part, when you got a leaky top, that's where the water goes, guys. And if it gets in there, that means it gets down in here, and that is bad. We don't want that. Looks like there's a couple of pieces missing. Somebody's been in here. This top's been replaced one other time, and they did a mediocre job with it because the screws all didn't match in terms of their size and the size of the washer. Just all those little signs that said somebody did a sloppy job. But now what we got to do is actually take those bolts out, leave that bolt, but take all of these out, and that's a 10mm job. Let's get started. I'm going to show you a trick for a problem that I got. It's trying to get the last two bolts off that are recessed over on this side, on the driver's side. You see that bolt head, 10mm? It's one of the 10 that were taken off all the way around, and there's another one on the passenger side. But here's the challenge. If I use my deep socket's too long. And hang on, if I use my short socket, it's actually too short. You can't reach the bolt head. What do? I'll show you one little trick you can try. You don't use the wrench handle, you only use the deep socket. You put the deep socket in like that, and then I'm going to grab this with a pair of water pump pliers and just starting turning. I'm potentially going to scratch it, but in the end, sometimes, guys, you don't have a choice. It's just going to be tedious as hell, but that'll get the job done pretty effortlessly. You know, it's tedious, but it doesn't require a lot of effort. You're going to scratch up a tiny little part that you can replace later, but that's probably the fastest way to do it. So let me get started. Actually, this is going way easier than I thought. You hold your finger down here. How do I show you guys? Hold on. There, that'll work. Here's what I'm going to do, guys. I'm going to push in on it like this, grab it with the water pumps, squeeze, turn, let go of the water pumps, grip it again, turn, let go and turn the water pumps, grip it, push down, turn, and you'll see that it's slowly working itself out. These are all bolts that are in pretty good shape, so this thing's going to get loose fast, and then I just have to follow up turning with my hand like this, and it'll come out. Pretty cool, huh? Let me continue showing you this little trick for how to get these bolts out. I'd already put the water pump pliers on. Now it's loose enough. I just have to hold it and turn it with my hand And now, geez, it's hard to get that thing. There's your nut, or there's your screw rather. Let's go do it on the other side. Pretty cool. One minute tip on your Beamer project. I've been replacing the top on my 1998 Beamer. I'm taking the whole back off, 15 bolts there, and 2 of them are recessed like this. That is too deep to actually put a socket on. And the wrench handle, it won't go in. So what do? You come in here, guys, and you grab it with a pair of water pump pliers with your finger up on the very top. Press in on it, turn, let go, press in on it, turn and let go, and eventually that little nut's going to come loose. It's actually surprisingly easy. Give it a try. Hope you guys like that little tip to help save you on the 14th and the 15th bolt when you're taking off the top. Come and see my channel and see how I'm doing with the rest of it. It's a really long video. Bye. Here's Mark with a 1 minute tip on his replace the top on your BMW Z3 project. At the back, we're taking out all of these bolts and everything's going super swimmingly. These bolts are easy to get at until you see the 2 recess bolts that are on this side. If you try to get a socket head in here, a deep one, you can't get a handle in to turn it. If you put in a short one like this, you can't actually reach it with the handle. What do? Watch. Put a pair of water pump pliers only on the side of this socket. Hold it down with your finger, turn, let go, grip it again, turn, 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 and eventually that socket's gonna be so loose you can turn it out with your fingers, and that tough little bolt is absolutely going to come loose. Come see my channel, see how I'm doing on the rest of the project. Okay, before I start trying to pry that metal frame off, we get to pull this weather sealing out. And I think you're supposed to, there's a little plastic cap here that you could try to pull off and work out this way. That's how MAINE Jason did it, but Richard just started pulling gently in one section here until it lifted up. And then you could just work your way to the run on one side and pull. And now you've got that piece. And then you can work your way all the way around. Don't pull too hard, guys. You don't want to have to replace this piece. We're just going to replace all the way around. We're going to pull all the way around until we get all the way to here. And again, we're just going to lift and pull backwards. And now we've got the whole piece, Amazon's here, the whole piece with our 2 end clips. How easy was that? Be right back. Here's Mark with another BMW Z3 top replacement tip. You've got the top off, you're tearing out this big band that's in the back. If you're working on this project, you know exactly what I'm talking about, and you got to figure out how to pry that thing off. Try using one of these tools with a reverse wedge, and watch what happens when I stick underneath here and just gently start prying. The whole thing comes away slick as can be. I was as shocked as you'll be when you start prying with this little tool from the bottom up like this, just bending, and you're not hitting anything that's important. You're not breaking plastic or anything. Give it a try. Come and see how I'm doing on my project. Find my channel. Bye. This is Mark with another BMW convertible top restore replacement tip. I just got done prying out on the bottom of the great big aluminum panel here. Just prying underneath like this and using a little bit of leverage, just a gentle push, and you'll hear it going until that adhesive gives. Then the first part lifts up like this, and watch how easy this comes out. Just have to be gentle, just pull, don't hurt the plastic, and it's actually just going to pop right out. See how I'm just gentle pull and it gives? Isn't that cool? I still got trouble here because I got a piece of plastic here that I'm going to have to repair. But boy, was that a time saver learning that little trick. Hope it helps you. Come and watch my channel, see how I'm doing on this project. Ha, cut. Mark Vogt working on his Beamer Z3 convertible replacement top project. We just got the metal band that goes all the way around the back here, the aluminum band off, which leaves only a plastic sealer here. And one of the problems I'm going to be facing on this restoration project is right here. You see that little crack? That's potentially deadly. I got to solve that. I got to seal that up before I put the top back on and the metal back on. And the way I'm going to do it, guys, with black Gorilla tape. Should probably last longer than the plastic. Watch as I give that a try. See the crack that's right here? 2 pieces. I'm going to lay them together, put a piece of Gorilla tape on one side and on the other, start to seal it, front and back, put a couple more layers on, it'll be good as new. What a great fix for a part that doesn't exist and can't be bought, no replacement. Come see how I'm doing on this project, maybe I can help you. Bye. I just got that aluminum mounting bow off way simpler than I ever imagined. In fact, I did it in less than 2 minutes. What I did was take a tool like this and put it on the bottom side of where that band was and push down like this. And immediately I heard it going as the adhesive failed, gave way, and I pulled it right out with my bare hands. I was done in under 2 minutes. Can you imagine? Go watch my video short on that. The next thing I got to do is that I actually have a broken plastic sealer right here. I have to clean the plastic up around here. I have to clean the plastic up. Where am I? I have to clean the plastic up around here, and I'm going to tape everything back together with Gorilla Glue. It's the only hope that I have, because you can't buy this part anymore. So I'm going to be sealing this whole thing all along here, this whole thing, this whole crack. I'm going to be sealing with Gorilla tape and see if it's just the only thing I got. That's my next project. Big deal. Here's Mark with another tip for restoring your Z3's convertible top. At some point, you got to start getting all of the old adhesive off of the bows. And you can try all different kinds of solvents. I've tried acetone, I've tried WD-40, I've tried other adhesive removers. They all suck. Wipe it all off with acetone until the bow is dry, and go back to just putting on something as simple as a piece of tape. Rub it on the underside wherever the sticky surface is, and then slowly peel it off. You're going to think that nothing's happening, but look, guys, see that black? That's adhesive. Now, it might take a couple of pieces, but eventually you're going to end up putting it on and peeling it off, putting it on, peeling it off, until when you peel it off the next time, there's no sticky left and it's done. Give this a try. Come and see my channel. Watch how I'm doing the rest of this Z3. All right, here's where we are, day 1. The top is completely off. I'm almost done cleaning off these bars using tape to peel off the rest of the adhesive. Just stick it on, peel it off, stick it on, peel it off. Almost like you're getting hair waxed. It's the best working. The backside's looking really good. All that's left is to take the old tarp, the old convertible top off the back end tomorrow, take all those staples off, start putting the new top on and stapling it, and then begin the assembly, putting everything back on. But right now, I'm taking one of my big tarps and I'm covering it over, bedding down for the night in case there's a breeze, in case there's weather, and I don't want anything getting inside here. It's not as far as I wanted to get, but I've never done it before. It's not bad progress, no real problems, no deal breakers, and a few pleasant surprises. Like the whole interior is absolutely pristine. For some reason, I thought there was going to be a lot of rust in here, something really disappointing that I'd have to work on. And instead, it is absolutely bulletproof, like right out of the showroom floor. I've got a cracked piece of seal mount here. The seal, what do they call this? The seal hoop is cracked, but I've taped it with Gorilla tape, and I think that's actually going to work. And I got all the gummy shit off of the bows so that there's no black mold or anything on them. And it's going to be putting the bands on tomorrow and then working on the top. That's a pretty good day. See you tomorrow. Okay, here's the final wrap up for the night. I put the tarp on. I didn't want to weight it down for fear that would come off in the night, so I actually masking taped it on all the way around. And I have a feeling that's going to be absolutely fine. Sealed up nice. Cheap, throwaway, don't have to worry about spending money on something that I'm not going to use again. That's it. All right, really, I'm taking the night off. See ya.